Pay close attention because what I'm about to share might challenge everything you believe. You've reached $100,000 and that's genuinely impressive. But here's the hard truth that most won't tell you. The approach that brought you here will actually prevent you from reaching 1 million. I understand that sounds counterintuitive, but mastering this concept is what divides those who plateau at 6 figures from individuals who create substantial wealth. I'm Peter, and I've dedicated years to guiding individuals through the challenging transition between having some savings and achieving financial freedom. Let me be direct with you. This jump from 100K to 1 million is where most individuals completely stall their wealth building journey without recognizing what's happening. So where do you actually stand at the $100,000 milestone? You've entered an exclusive group that only about 22% of Americans reach. That's correct. Fewer than 1 in 4 individuals have $100,000 in accessible savings and cash. You've earned the right to feel accomplished because most people have their assets locked in real estate or vehicles, which means they lack true financial flexibility. But this is where the danger begins. Achieving success at this stage can breed a misleading confidence that results in stagnation. The fundamental issue is that most individuals view the $100,000 point as if they've completed some financial marathon. They believe they can relax now, reduce their intensity somewhat, and simply allow compound growth to handle everything. Incorrect, completely incorrect. This attitude is precisely what traps individuals in average financial outcomes for decades. Let me break down what I mean when I say your current approach won't scale to 1 million. During your journey to that first 100K, you likely concentrated heavily on what I describe as efficiency techniques. You searched for discounts, tracked sales at the supermarket, perhaps traveled extra distance to save a few dollars on fuel. You monitored every dollar because every dollar carried weight when your assets were counted in thousands instead of tens of thousands. But here's your reality check. If you're still dedicating mental resources to deciding between premium brands and store brands when you have $100,000 working for you, you're focused on the wrong priorities. Those minor efficiency gains that benefited you early on are now preventing you from the significant opportunities that actually create momentum at your current position. This represents what I describe as the mental transformation, and it's absolutely essential for your wealth journey. You must transition from thinking like someone attempting to save their way to prosperity and begin thinking like someone constructing frameworks to multiply wealth. The gap between these two mindsets is the gap between hitting 1 million in your 60s versus achieving it in your 40s. So what does this framework mindset actually involve? First, recognize that you're no longer simply making your finances efficient. You're amplifying them. Efficiency focuses on incremental improvements to existing practices. Amplification involves completely redesigning your strategy to seize opportunities that were previously out of reach. At the 6-figure stage, your wealth system must operate like precision machinery. This requires following what I describe as the wealth building hierarchy, and you must address every level in proper sequence. Skip one level or jump ahead and you'll forfeit thousands of dollars unnecessarily. Level 1 ensures you're investing enough in your 401k to capture the complete company match. If your employer matches 50 cents per dollar, you invest up to 6% of earnings, you must be investing that complete 6%. This represents immediate returns. Yet countless Americans ignore this opportunity annually. If you're not capturing your full company match, you're essentially accepting reduced compensation. Level 2 involves eliminating all expensive debt as rapidly as possible. I'm referring to credit cards, personal borrowing, if anything costing you above 7 or 8% interest each year. The mathematics here are straightforward but severe. If you're maintaining credit card balances at 20% interest while your portfolio returns 8%, you're sacrificing 12% yearly on every dollar. That represents financial self-harm. Level 3 is establishing and contributing to a Roth IRA if you qualify. The income thresholds for Roth IRA deposits begin reducing around $146,000 for individual filers. So many individuals at the 100K asset level can still utilize this powerful tax-sheltered vehicle. Roth IRAs deliver exceptional value because your capital grows, without tax obligations permanently, and you'll owe nothing when withdrawing during retirement years. Level 4 means maximizing your 401k deposits beyond merely the company match. For 2025, that means depositing $23,000 if you're younger than 50 or $30,500 if you're 50 or above. This is where most individuals begin feeling stretched. But remember, we're not just being efficient anymore. We're amplifying results. Level 5 often gets missed but delivers incredible power. If your employer offers a health savings account with a high deductible health plan, you should be maximizing this as well. HSAs actually provide triple tax benefits, which makes them superior to both traditional and Roth retirement vehicles in many circumstances. You receive tax reduction when depositing, the capital grows without taxes, and you can extract it without taxes for qualifying healthcare costs. Level 6 involves creating a standard brokerage account for extra investing beyond your retirement vehicles. This is where you genuinely begin accelerating your wealth construction because regular accounts have no deposit restrictions. You can invest whatever amount you choose, whenever you choose. Now here's an approach that can genuinely represent hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout your lifetime, and it requires approximately 5 minutes to establish. I describe this as the New Year increment approach. Every January 1st, you raise your investment percentage by 1 or 2 points. If you were investing 10% of earnings previously, increase it to 11 or 12% this year. Most individuals never feel this modest increase because it occurs gradually. But the multiplying impact across decades is absolutely remarkable. Consider you're 30 years old, earning $70,000 yearly. If you invest 10% for 35 years at 8% growth, and assuming your deposits increase naturally as your earnings rise with inflation, you'll accumulate roughly $1.8 million at retirement. But if you raise that percentage by merely 1% annually until reaching 20%, then sustain that percentage, you'll finish with above $3 million. That additional 1.2 million results from an approach requiring 5 minutes to execute annually. At the 6-figure stage, automation becomes increasingly vital, but for evolved reasons compared to when you started. When you held $5,000 saved, automation kept you from missing bill payments or accidentally using your investment funds. Now that you hold $100,000, automation releases mental capacity for larger choices and opportunities. You should maintain distinct sub-accounts for every significant expense you anticipate. Planning a wedding next year? Establish a wedding account and automate monthly deposits. Interested in that dream trip to Japan? Create a travel account. Your sister's wedding requires purchasing a dress, arranging flights, and securing accommodation? Build a wedding guest account. This might seem excessive, but prosperous individuals don't leave these costs to chance. They address them methodically, which means they never must select between their wealth objectives and their life experiences. While establishing these frameworks, invest time organizing your financial situation. Merge old 401k accounts from former employers. Eliminate unnecessary bank accounts serving no function. Arrange your financial records so you can locate them when required. Consider this financial organization, and it's something you should complete yearly at minimum. But here's where most individuals at the $100,000 stage make a devastating mistake that costs them years of advancement. They become satisfied with their present earnings and stop pursuing growth. They assume that since they've demonstrated saving and investing capability, they can simply maintain course and allow time to work. This represents a huge error because income expansion is among the quickest paths to reach that $1 million target. Many individuals at this point are unknowingly earning below their value, sometimes substantially. When did you last investigate what individuals in your role are genuinely earning in current markets? I observe this constantly, and it's absolutely frustrating. Individuals reach the $100,000 milestone, then immediately begin investigating whether they should restructure their home loan to save $40 monthly. Meanwhile, they haven't requested a raise in 3 years, and they're likely forfeiting $20,000 yearly. This demonstrates what I mean about focusing on the wrong priorities. Here's an uncomfortable reality that might sting somewhat. If you're still using applications to locate fuel rewards or dedicating your Saturday morning to finding discounts when you hold 6 figures invested, you've completely missed the concept. Your time now holds substantially greater value than the few dollars you might preserve with these methods. Every hour dedicated to minor efficiencies is an hour not dedicated to approaches that could genuinely transform your situation. This is where income expansion becomes absolutely critical, and most individuals completely overlook this because they're satisfied. Satisfaction is wealth's adversary. When you're satisfied, you stop challenging limits, stop raising difficult questions, and stop accepting the measured risks that produce genuine prosperity. Let me provide perspective on what income expansion genuinely involves. The typical person receives a cost adjustment annually, perhaps 2 to 3% if fortunate. But individuals who actively direct their income trajectory see increases of 10, 20, even 50% when they execute strategic transitions. That gap compounds across time in ways that make your portfolio returns appear modest by contrast. Begin by doing something most individuals never do. Genuinely investigate what individuals in your role are earning in today's environment. Not what they earned 5 years ago when you started, but what they're earning currently. Platforms like Glassdoor and Salary.com offer reasonable starting points, but genuine intelligence comes from connecting with individuals in comparable positions at different organizations. Here's what will likely surprise you. If you've remained at your present position for beyond 2 years without a meaningful promotion or earnings increase, you're almost definitely being underpaid. Organizations appreciate workers who don't question compensation because it preserves their budget. Don't become that worker. When you request that raise, and you absolutely should, don't simply enter your manager's office stating you believe you deserve additional compensation. That's unprofessional. Arrive prepared with market information, document your contributions from the previous year, and offer a clear argument for why investing in your development benefits the organization. If they cannot or will not match your market worth, you possess valuable information about whether you're employed by the appropriate organization. But here's where it becomes genuinely interesting. At the 6-figure asset stage, you possess options that individuals living without savings simply lack. You can manage measured risks on career transitions that could substantially accelerate your earnings. Perhaps there's an opening to transition to a higher compensating organization, even if it involves some short-term uncertainty. Perhaps you can manage to negotiate for ownership compensation beyond just earnings. Perhaps you can finally launch that consulting venture you've contemplated for years. The essential term here is measured. You're not risking your financial stability. You're utilizing your financial foundation as a launching point to pursue larger possibilities. There's a substantial difference between these approaches. Regarding additional ventures, this is where many individuals at your stage can genuinely accelerate their wealth construction. You've presumably built expertise in your domain across the years. That expertise holds value, and there are likely individuals who would compensate for it. Whether that's consulting, independent work, instruction, or developing some product or service, your professional knowledge represents an asset you can convert to income. Even an additional $1,000 monthly from supplementary income can dramatically alter your wealth timeline. That's $12,000 yearly that can be invested directly, since you're already managing your living costs with your primary income. Across 20 years at 8% growth, that extra $12,000 annually becomes above $540,000. Not disappointing for some weekend effort. But let me address something that confuses many individuals at this point. As your earnings grow, you'll face temptation to expand your expenses proportionally. This is termed lifestyle expansion, and it's among the largest wealth destroyers for individuals in the 6-figure bracket. But here's what most financial guidance misunderstands. The objective isn't to continue existing like you did when earning $40,000. That's simply miserable. Instead, you want to practice what I describe as intentional spending. This means being very deliberate about where you expand your spending and where you maintain discipline. Identify what genuinely matters to you and allocate generously toward those areas. Perhaps you love exploration, so you designate significant funds toward incredible trips. Perhaps you're passionate about cuisine and derive authentic satisfaction from excellent dining. Perhaps you prioritize fitness and want to invest in quality gym access or professional training. The essential element is identifying your top 3 or 4 spending priorities and committing fully to those while maintaining restraint elsewhere. Don't allocate heavily toward clothing if fashion doesn't interest you. Don't upgrade to the premium vehicle if you simply need dependable transportation. Don't purchase the largest house you can manage if you'd prefer experiencing the world. This introduces what I describe as the stress-free threshold. This represents an amount you can allocate on minor purchases without second thoughts. Perhaps it's $50, perhaps it's $200. The precise amount matters less than establishing a threshold. Below this point, you don't stress about the purchase. Above it, you pause to evaluate whether it supports your priorities. This mental technique delivers incredible power because it removes decision exhaustion on minor purchases while maintaining awareness of larger ones. Seriously, when you hold 6 figures invested, dedicating mental resources to whether you should purchase a $15 meal is inefficient. That mental capacity is better applied to $50,000 decisions. And that introduces the principle that transforms everything at this stage. You must stop raising $5 questions and begin raising $50,000 questions. $5 questions involve things like which coffee location offers the least expensive drink, or whether you should travel extra distance to save on groceries. $50,000 questions represent the significant choices that genuinely influence your wealth building path. Housing likely represents the largest $50,000 question you'll encounter. Many individuals at the $100,000 asset stage begin experiencing pressure to purchase property, particularly from family members who consider renting as wasting resources. But here's the reality nobody discusses. Sometimes renting represents the smarter financial choice, even when you can manage purchasing. Property ownership includes numerous hidden expenses that don't appear in the monthly payment estimate. Property taxes, homeowner protection, maintenance, fixes, association fees if relevant, and the missed opportunity from your initial payment. When you combine all these factors, the genuine expense of property ownership often exceeds the mortgage payment by 30 to 50%. I'm not stating you shouldn't purchase property. I'm stating you should make the choice based on your genuine circumstances rather than social expectations or outdated conventional thinking. If you appreciate the region where you reside, intend to remain for minimum 5 to 7 years, and have located property you can genuinely manage, including all hidden expenses, purchasing can be excellent. But if you're purchasing because you believe you should, or because your parents keep questioning when you'll stop wasting resources on rent, you might be making a very costly error. Transportation represents another $50,000 question that individuals consistently mishandle. The typical new vehicle payment in America now exceeds $700 monthly, across a standard 6-year loan that exceeds $50,000. And that's before considering protection costs, maintenance, and value loss. For someone attempting to construct wealth, this represents financial damage. Here's what prosperous individuals genuinely do with vehicles. They purchase dependable pre-owned vehicles, typically 3 to 5 years aged, and they operate them until maintenance expenses become excessive. They recognize that vehicles are declining assets, not growth vehicles, and they reduce the influence on their wealth construction. If you're currently making vehicle payments on anything besides a dependable, reasonably priced vehicle, that should be your next financial priority after maximizing your tax-sheltered accounts. The funds you release by removing or reducing your vehicle payments can be redirected toward holdings that genuinely expand your prosperity. Now, let's discuss taxes, because this is where individuals either become genuinely strategic or genuinely distracted with their resources. At the 6-figure stage, you're likely paying substantial taxes, and that's when individuals become fixated with tax reduction approaches. Some of this makes practical sense, but most represents complete excess that distracts you from the genuine wealth constructing activities. Here's the reality about taxes that nobody wants to acknowledge. Your optimal tax approach remains maximizing those tax-sheltered accounts we discussed previously. Your 401k, Roth IRA, and HSA deposits are delivering more tax advantages than any complicated approach you'll discover on some random financial website. Yet, individuals will dedicate hours investigating whether they should relocate to Texas to eliminate state income taxes, while completely overlooking the fact that they're not even maximizing their retirement accounts. I observe this constantly, and it's honestly amusing. Someone will contact me questioning about establishing a complicated business framework to preserve $300 in taxes yearly, but they're forfeiting $4,000 in company matching because they're not depositing enough to their 401k. It's like worrying about whether your socks coordinate while your house burns. You've already accomplished the most challenging part by reaching that $100,000 milestone. You've proven you can postpone immediate satisfaction, maintain a strategy, and construct wealth methodically. Now you simply need to expand those identical principles to the next stage. Stop raising $5 questions and begin raising $50,000 questions. Stop making your grocery budget efficient and begin amplifying your income capability. Stop searching for discounts and begin constructing frameworks that operate while you rest. The journey from 100K to 1 million isn't merely about possessing more resources. It's about possessing more options, more liberty, and more authority over how you utilize your time. Your future wealthy self depends on the choices you execute today. Don't disappoint them.